This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, welcome to the show here as we close in on Crown Jewel that is coming to us tomorrow night or tomorrow morning, depending on where you are in the world. It's going to be a very screwy start time compared to what we're used to, and it's going to be a good show. I think, honestly, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's the Crown Jewel event has been stained by where it normally takes place. We all associate Crown Jewel with Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and there's not a lot of people that I know, a lot of listeners anyway, that really look at Riyadh and Saudi Arabia and go, man, that's where PLEs need to be. That's where things really come together. As we all know, WrestleMania will be there in 2027, which is another topic for another day. But we have Crown Jewel tomorrow evening, tomorrow morning, tomorrow. I'll just say tomorrow, depending on where you are, as I said. And a great place to go ad-free is Patreon, because right now, you can go ad-free for a week for free. So there's really nothing of a risk on your side at patreon.com/WWE podcast. If you're brand new, you get a week for free. So if not, then hey, you still get $1 a month. If you want to start at $1 a month, you can for everything we do ad-free. So, alrighty, let's get to it. Let's get to the emails. I'll do the actual predictions for the show on the backside, but let's start with where are we going here? James says, I have a question. I'm a bit behind. I'm on the go home week prior to WrestlePalooza. I don't generally listen to your podcast until it is current with what I'm watching. So you might have covered this and I haven't heard it yet. Anyway, I watch everything via streaming. I don't have cable or DirecTV or Hulu or YouTube. I watch SmackDown on the USA Network app with my parents' cable provider info, or at least I used to. I went to watch the go-home show for WrestlePalooza, and the USA app is no longer active, or however it's worded. I have Peacock, but SmackDown is about a month behind on that. Other than watching live, do you know where I can find current SmackDown episodes? Again, there's a lot of places out there that you can do it. That's other, like, third parties, if you catch my drift. Like, just Google it. There's some places you can go to get them for free. Of course, if you don't want to watch everything, you can just watch the highlights for free and get the gist of what happened on SmackDown free on YouTube. But, if you don't have DirecTV or Hulu or YouTube, and the USA app has been deactivated, then you're going to have to just Google your way into it. All right. Thank you, James. And let's go to Blair. Oh, Blair has some predictions. So we'll get to those right now. Again, I can't comment because I'll bury the lead and give you my predictions if I respond to you. So here's what Blair thinks is going to happen. The Men's Crown Jewel Championship, the very prestigious Crown Jewel Championship, with Cody Rhodes taking on Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins wins. For the Women's Crown Jewel Championship, Stephanie Vaquer versus Tiffany Stratton. You have Tiffany Stratton winning. John Cena versus AJ Styles. John Cena wins. In the Australian street fight, not to be confused with the no DQ match or any other street fight because this is different, a Bronson Reed versus Roman Reigns matchup here. You're having Roman Reigns win. Rhea and Io take on the Kabuki Warriors. Rhea and Io win. Okay. We'll see if you're correct, Blair. I can't respond. I will shortly. And let's get to DJ. Short on the emails today. DJ says, if by chance this mailbag episode happens after Crown Jewel, okay, well, you're good to go. So here we go. Here are your predictions, DJ. Rollins beats Rhodes for Crown Jewel, the Crown Jewel Championship. Stephanie defeats Stratton for the Women's Crown Jewel Championship. Cena beats Styles. The Kabuki Warriors lose to Rio. And Reed beats Reigns. All right, DJ, we'll get to your report here, your Joe Hendry report in just a moment. I just want to comment on one thing, and it is MLB related because my season has come to an end. So Toronto is a city that is very happy right now that they beat the Yankees, but you guys should have beat the Yankees. All right. We cannot come up with a big hit in a big moment outside of Game 3. That came with an otherworldly performance from Aaron Judge, but nobody else seemed to have a big say in this. Our starting pitching was horrible outside of Cam Schlittler. And it should not go unnoticed, although nobody's talking about it, that Giancarlo Stanton, was invisible in this series and had multiple opportunities to do something huge and struck out and flied out. Stanton did nothing and everyone's letting him off the hook. Yeah, that can't happen. Stanton is just as culpable as a lot of other guys. Now, Volpe went, he struck out 11 out of 15 times. He was an automatic out. Our starting pitching, as I said, was horrible. Rodon was not good. We had, of course, our ace drop the ball in a big way in Game 1. And you guys deserve to win. You deserve to. I'm not going to sit here and pretend the Yankees didn't crap the bed. They did. And it's been 16 years now without a championship, which to Yankee fans is unacceptable. I know to some franchises it's been 30, 40, 50 years. I understand that. But when management tells you every year that the goal is and the expectation should be that you win a World Series or it's a failure, and that's drilled into your head, kind of hard to think otherwise. Kind of hard to believe that it's not a failure if you don't go to the World Series and win. And I don't even count last year as like they made it to the World Series, but last year they got their asses kicked by the Dodgers. And they went down 0-3 to the Dodgers. Won Game 4, but then crapped the bed in Game 5 after one of the worst, most embarrassing, just completely collapsible innings of all time in Game 5. So it felt like we never even got off, on any kind of momentum. It was just constantly trying to survive. So anyway, yeah, it's not a good season again when it comes to the Yankee fans. But okay, done with MLB. This is a WWE show, but I wanted to give my opinions because there are some of you out there that certainly are not happy. Some of you are Yankee fans and reach out to me too. And hey, one last thing. I don't believe Boone is going to get fired. Cashman's not going anywhere. You're probably going to have a much different looking infield next year. Ben Rice is probably going to take over. Your Goldschmidt's probably gone. He's aging anyway. Your starting rotation is probably going to be Fried. It's going to be Rodon, Schlittler, and then they got to fill 4 and 5. But the bullpen is where the things need to really improve. The bullpen is a massive problem. Massive problem. The bullpen needs to be bolstered in a big way and go out and get another, actual hitter that can hit home runs. Because I'll tell you this, if the Yankees still had Soto from last year, they probably would have won, because given the performance of Max Fried in Game 1, if all things are equal, you would have had another big bopper to protect Aaron Judge in the 3-hole or the 4-hole, depending on how the lineup shaked out, and you couldn't just walk Aaron Judge. Instead, they would walk Aaron Judge, take the bat out of his hand in a lot of the big positions, a lot of the big spots, and there would be nobody to protect him, and then the next guy, you hit into a double play, hit an out, hit a fly ball. It was a tough series to watch. A tough series after Game 3. You're thinking, okay, Toronto's got Game 4. It's a bullpen game. The Yankees have got this. They've got Cam Schlittler, who did a very good job, giving up only 2 runs in 6 1/3 innings. And I think he did as good of a job as you could expect against that lineup. I don't think he had 1 or 2 strikeouts. And that is a team that just does not go away. Everybody on Toronto was on their game. There were no dead spots. And the same thing with their bullpen. You would think after bringing out like 8 different guys in the bullpen, one of those guys would have a horrible night with nothing. And instead, everybody seemed on their game. So, all right, that's enough. I promise. Wanted to get that out. I promise there won't be much MLB talk after this. Okay. So let's get to somebody else's voice. Let's get to DJ Kuzmo's voice, because you need to hear somebody else other than me. So take it away, DJ.
This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag Show. Record to you live on a Wednesday morning, and you know what time it is. It's time to
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
That's That's right, folks. Joe Hendry is his name as I take it to my 65th episode of the Drudge Report. And like always, coming to you live from an undisclosed location. Before we get to today's episode, there's a lot of things that is happening excitingly in the world of TNA. Of course, I will get to what took place last night with NXT versus TNA at Showdown, but this coming Sunday, that's right folks, October 12th, live from Lowell, Massachusetts, we have TNA's Bound for Glory pay-per-view, and we have so far 8 matches on the card. I'm going to be focusing on 4 matches. From those 4 matches, we have 3 matches that will have NXT versus TNA implications. And of course, the 4th match that I will also be talking about is the legendary Tag Team Championship match of the Hardy Boys of Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy versus the Dudley Boys, aka Team 3D of Billy Ray and Devon. This should be an epic show. But let me get to these NXT versus TNA matchups. The first one we have is Leon Slater, who is the current TNA X Division champion. He will be going up against the NXT High Flying Star and Javon Evans. If you remember Javon Evans from a couple of SmackDowns ago, he was featured in a United States Championship match against Sami Zayn. But in this matchup of Leon Slater versus Javon Evans, both of these guys are exceptionally talented in the ring, high flying. This should be a great matchup between Leon Slater and Javon Evans for the TNA X Division Championship. And like I said, this is NXT versus TNA. Javon Evans, NXT, Leon Slater, TNA. I am going all the way for Leon Slater to retain the TNA X Division Championship. The other TNA and NXT matches that we have on this card is Kalani Jordan versus the indie wrestling darling, none other than Indy Hartwell, and that is for the TNA Knockouts Championship. Recently, Kalani Jordan, she won the TNA Knockouts Championship at Victory Road. This was a week ago, and now we have Indy Hartwell, who is now getting her title shot for the TNA Knockouts Championship. And this is again an NXT versus TNA matchup. Kalani Jordan, even though she is the TNA Knockouts champion, she is an NXT star. So I'm looking at it as Kalani Jordan will retain the TNA Knockouts Championship. There's a lot that's going to be going back and forth with this collaboration of NXT and TNA. I do like Indy Hartwell's chances, but it looks like Kalani Jordan, who just recently won the TNA Knockouts Championship, she will retain. Now we get to the main event, which hopefully will be the main event, and that is for the TNA World Championship. I have been waiting for this matchup of Trick Williams versus Mike Santana ever since Joe Hendry dropped the TNA World Championship to Trick Williams a couple of months ago. This rivalry between Mike Santana and Trick Williams has been heated up for the past couple of months. I am looking for the upset victory where we have a new TNA champion, and that is Mike Santana. And this is the final NXT versus TNA matchup for the card for Bound for Glory. So I look for Mike Santana to get the victory over Trick Williams. I have Leon Slater to get the victory over Javon Evans. And I have Kalani Jordan to get the victory over Indy Hartwell. And let's see what happens. There's also a couple of other things that will be happening on this card for Bound for Glory this coming Sunday, October 12th, live from Lowell, Massachusetts. Now let's take you back to what took place last week on the episode of TNA Pro Wrestling as we see Joe Hendry. He's at the staircase and he's talking directly to the camera, and he's just talking about how he had his incredible victory against Eric Young from the past TNA event called Victory Road, when of course he defeated Eric Young. But then all of a sudden, here comes the director of Authority, Mr. Santino Marella, as he interrupts Joe and says that next week on the episode of TNA Pro Wrestling, Joe Hendry will have a no disqualification matchup against Eric Young. And then Joe just looks at Santino like, what? Why am I having this match? I thought the feud was over. Anyway, this was going to be happening next week on an episode of TNA Pro Wrestling, that we're going to have Joe Hendry versus Eric Young in a no disqualification. Now we take to what took place on Friday on the interwebs of the internet as we're getting ready for NXT versus TNA for Showdown. We first get a video from Jordynne Grace as she makes her case to both the NXT manager, which is Ava Raine, and of course the director of Authority for TNA, Mr. Santino Marella, and she's saying that how this event needs to have Jordynne Grace, and that's Showdown. She needs to be a part of the show. And the fact that 2 years ago, she was the one that brought the TNA Knockouts Championship to NXT, and we had the collaboration in the early beginnings, it was because of Jordynne Grace. And of course, she mentions that there will be no Showdown without her. So she puts her case to both Ava Raine and to the director of Authority, Santino Marella, for her to be a part of this event. She also takes issue with Kelani Jordan because she recently became the TNA Knockouts champion, but then Santino Marella put her as the captain for Team TNA for the women's side for Showdown. And I'm like, wait a minute. Jordynne Grace has been in TNA for so long. Now she moved to NXT, but then Santino picks none other than Kelani Jordan as the captain for Team TNA, even though she's an NXT star. It's a lot of complex things going on here, but Jordynne Grace continued to plead her case. But then all of a sudden, a couple of minutes later, we get a video from Joe Hendry, and he supports Jordynne Grace in regards to the fact that if it wasn't for Jordynne Grace, there will be no collaboration between NXT and TNA, and there will be no Showdown. He also goes on to say the fact that Joe Hendry changed the way how NXT was because of his appearance. The fact that he showed up at the Royal Rumble as the TNA World Champion, and then at WrestleMania this year, he was featured in a match against Randy Orton. He also goes back to the fact that a year ago, his first ever appearance on NXT was the most viral video on NXT for that year of 2024, as now he puts his case that he also deserves to be at Showdown. So now we have both Jordynne Grace putting her case out to be at Showdown and Joe Hendry to put his case to be at Showdown. This was Friday. Now we're going to get to eventually where we're going to get to on Sunday with the big news. But first, this past Saturday, live from the place called Gainesville, Florida, we had an NXT live event of Joe Hendry versus Dark States member Mr. Coulter James, as Joe Hendry gets the victory. On that day itself, on Saturday, we get the news from Ava Raine, the general manager of NXT, that Jordynne Grace will now be a part of Showdown as the special guest referee for the NXT versus TNA Women's Eliminating Style Survivor Series match. But then we get some more good news. On Sunday, Santino Marella puts out a video and says to Joe Hendry, you want to be a part of Showdown? Well, you got it, because now you will be the special guest referee for the men's TNA versus NXT Showdown matchup for this coming Tuesday. So now we have both Jordynne Grace as the special guest referee for the women's side for NXT versus TNA, and then we have Joe Hendry as the special guest referee for NXT versus TNA on the men's side. And speaking of Showdown, let's get to that event, folks, which took place live from the WWE Performance Center on the CW as opposed to being a standalone PLE. We had 4 matches on the card. We had 2 victories for NXT and 2 victories for TNA. Let me quickly mention the 2 victories for NXT. In the NXT North American Championship match, we had the champion in All Ego Ethan Page as he took on Mustafa Ali. Coming into this match, 2 years ago, Mustafa Ali was involved in an NXT North American Championship in a triple threat, but he lost in that match, and then of course a couple of months later, he got released from WWE. 2 years later, we are now having this match, as this could be a redemption story for Ali to finally become an NXT North American champion. But sadly, that was not the case, as Ethan Page retained the championship in 14 minutes and 2 seconds. The second NXT victory I want to get to is the women's NXT versus TNA Survivor Series style matchup. I know it's a lot to say, it's a big mouthful, but this match lasted 23 minutes and 9 seconds, which of course the special guest referee in Jordynne Grace. JC Jane got the final elimination as she pinned Kelani Jordan, the TNA Knockouts champion, to help get the victory for Team NXT, as both JC Jane and Sol Roca were the 2 lone survivors for Team NXT. Now let's get to the glorious 2 victories for TNA. The first one, which took place at the beginning of the show, was a winner-take-all tag team championship match for both the NXT Tag Team Championships and the TNA Tag Team Championships of the Hardy Boys of Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy as they took on the NXT Tag Team Champions in Dark State, most specifically Dion Lennox and Osiris Griffin. This match lasted 10 minutes and 48 seconds, and we got new tag team champions in the Hardy Boys, as they now have both the NXT Tag Team Championships and the TNA Tag Team Championships. I guess you could say you have to put them on their Mount Rushmore of greatest tag teams in the form of the Hardy Boys. They have won every single tag team championship in the WWE, and they have won multiple tag team championships across a variety of wrestling promotions. So that was the first big victory for TNA, as now we have TNA wrestlers holding NXT Tag Team Championships. We're still down 2-1, but slowly but surely, we will get back those championships, those big-time championships from both Trick Williams and, of course, from Kalani Jordan. Now let's get to the main event itself, which was the men's Team TNA versus Team NXT Survivor Series style elimination match. This match lasted 22 minutes and 49 seconds as my guy, Mr. Joe Hendry, was the special guest referee. Let me just quickly mention this. Even though Joe Hendry did do a solid job as a referee, please don't quit your full-time job. Stay focused on wrestling and just leave the referee for the real referee. Anyway, we had a couple of eliminations. First of all, we had the self-proclaimed king of TNA, Mr. Frankie Kazarian, as he eliminated NXT's Miles Bourne. Then we had Leon Slater, the TNA X Division champion, as he eliminated Javon Evans, as that feud between Javon and Slater is heating up for Bound for Glory for this Sunday. Then we had something very interesting that took place after that elimination. We saw Leon Slater and Ricky Sainz battling one-on-one in the ring. But as Ricky Sainz was about to tag in his co-captain, Mr. Trick Williams steps off the ringside apron and walks away. And Ricky Sainz is like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" As Trick Williams continues to walk off, now giving the advantage to Team TNA with a 4-on-1, leaving Ricky Sainz, the NXT champion, all by himself to battle the rest of these guys for TNA. As we had a big comeback for Team NXT, as Ricky Sainz had back-to-back eliminations. He had the elimination against Frankie Kazarian, as he reversed it out of a crossface and delivered a roll-up to Frankie Kazarian as he eliminated Frankie Kazarian. Then we saw Ricky Sainz eliminate Leon Slater. So now we are down to 2-1. But as we fast forward to the tail end of the match, after when Ricky Sainz delivered a super kick to Mike Santana, Santana goes to the corner to attack Sainz, but Santana misses. We then see Ricky Sainz attempting for a spinning DDT off the corner ropes, but Santana gets out of it. All of a sudden, Sainz moves out of the way of an incoming Moose, but that leads to Moose accidentally giving a spear to Mike Santana. Sainz shoves Moose outside the ring. Then Sainz goes for the cover on Santana, but Mike Santana kicks out at 2. Then we see Ricky Sainz and Mike Santana brawling inside the ring yet again. Santana attempts to do a spin the block finisher, but Sainz reverses out of it. Mike Santana shoves Sainz into Moose. Moose picks up Sainz for a pop-up powerbomb, and then here comes the icing on the cake, folks, when Santana goes for the spin the block on Ricky Sainz, and 1, 2, 3. Team TNA on the men's side get the victory, as we have both Moose and Mike Santana being the last two guys, the last two survivors for their team for TNA. And that closes off the show, as we have 2 victories for NXT and 2 victories for TNA. What does this mean going forward, as you could still see another collaboration between these two brands? But back to Joe Hendry. Always remember this: if you continue to say his name, he might just randomly appear. Always remember to believe, say his name. Always remember the words that Joe Hendry says anytime, any place, at any show. And most importantly, always remember to do this.
Wave your hands from side to side and say, "Oh, I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is so prestigious."
Once again, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay safe, my friends. Believe and peace.
DJ, good to hear you, man. And a nice review there. Yeah, 15 minutes long. I know. Again, some people are like, "Oh, is that long?" Hey, listen, TNA is in a lot of ways a barometer into where guys could come to, where the guys are at in the eyes of WWE with their partnership with TNA. This is a way to kind of gauge what's going on. And a lot of you don't listen to TNA or watch TNA, but with the magic of DJ's review, and especially focused on Joe Hendry, but others, Mike Santana and others, this is a way to kind of gauge and see, okay, cool. I was hearing about this guy in TNA. Now he's up to WWE. So you have a little bit of a platform, a little bit of a foundation to build on when you look at the guy or gal when they come up and say, oh, cool. Yeah, they were in TNA doing this and that. And it's not a total stranger. And it is nice to hear about other promotions other than just WWE mainstream WWE, only WWE, mainstream, Raw, SmackDown, Raw, that's it. No, there are other promotions, and admittedly, I don't watch them because I don't have time, but that's why DJ provides a benefit. Really doing the Lord's work here, giving us the TNA review every week and focusing on Joe Hendry, of course, among others. So thank you, DJ, and let's get to the predictions here, because Crown Jewel comes to us, as I said, tomorrow, which is going to vary. Your start time is going to vary widely across the world. And let's get to the actual card here, because many of you gave predictions. Let's get to it. So I'm going to start with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus the Kabuki Warriors. And this does scream Rhea and Io winning against Asuka and Kairi. You would think, given the pecking order of where these women are at right now, that these two should win. They are bigger stars than Asuka and especially Kairi, who needs just a big boost. I mean, Kairi is like 3 levels below any of these women in terms of how she's been presented. I'm not saying as an actual person, but just as a wrestler in this make-believe world, her character has been defined down. I mean, many levels below these 3 women. So she needs a boost if you're going to make me believe that Kairi has a chance. Now, you could have potentially a third member interfering, have Asuka win this over maybe Io Sky taking the pinfall. So if you're going to have Io and Kairi win, it's going to be over Io Sky, not Rhea Ripley, who they are going to protect at all costs here. Rhea Ripley in no way is ever going to take the pinfall here. I would very much doubt it. And it is kind of cool that you see these women competing over something that has nothing to do with the championship. I got to applaud WWE on that. I don't know if that was by design or by accident, but the result's still the same, that this is not about a championship. It's about personal grudges. So that can be done, and it's good to see. With more championships than WWE really knows how to properly handle, it's nice to see that a match can happen with the women that have nothing to do with a championship, especially the tag team championships that I at this point have kind of given up hope that they're ever going to make them feel important on a consistent basis. It's just, they've been a curse, not a blessing to really any tag team. But I mean, Charlotte and Lexi did a nice job and have done a nice job, but they're the exception than the rule. So this is nice. And so who do I expect to win? Who do I expect to win? Well, I mean, I'm going to go with the odds here, and Rhea Ripley and Io Sky win. They pin Kairi because she's there to take the pinfall. Maybe Rhea does it. Maybe Io does it. It doesn't really matter. I expect a fun matchup, really good matchup. All 4 women are incredibly capable, incredibly athletic. I expect a fun 12-minute tag team match that ends with Kairi taking the pinfall. Maybe maybe Asuka gets some heat after the match, attacking I'll get my names right, attacking Io or attacking Rhea to get some heat back to continue the program. But I would imagine after this, these 4 are probably done in a tag team capacity. All right. Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed in a Australian street fight. Tough one. If you've heard me earlier in the week, you know that I'm looking at this and seeing really just this is all about Bronson. This is not about Roman Reigns. Roman has nothing to gain, nor does he have anything to lose from this matchup. Anything at all could happen in this match, and it does not help, nor does it hurt Roman Reigns. So what do you do in that position when a guy is just so over and so made, and at the point where anything could happen in his career, almost anything, and he's Teflon? It doesn't really matter. He's there because he's a big star, and Nothing can really change that at this point. He is cemented in. Well, that means it's all about his opponent. It's all about Bronson Reed. I think Bronson Reed comes out of this in a victorious fashion. I think he should. Because Roman Reigns can't be damaged here. Now, does he do it in a hook or crook, or does Braun Breaker have something to say about it? Probably. That's the predictable outcome here. That's the obvious solution, but I don't care if it's obvious if it's right. You know my philosophy on that. If it's right but predictable, I'll take that over wrong and unpredictable anytime. But I think Bronson Reed needs this. He cannot lose clean to Roman Reigns. Even in a losing capacity, or in a fighting capacity, they go 15, 16 minutes, and Bronson Reed puts up a good fight, but ultimately Roman wins. Well, okay, fine. But again, there's nothing really to be gained there. Roman Reigns is the heavy favorite, but Roman can't get hurt by losing. He can only actually help by losing. So the argument is Bronson Reed goes over, put a massive victory under his belt. He can claim he beat Roman Reigns, even if it is a bit shady the way he does it with Braun Breaker or maybe Roman Reigns or somebody else, Seth Rollins. If he wants to interfere somehow, I don't think he will, because he's got his own thing going on with Cody. But you could have Braun Breaker certainly interfere, and then Roman Reigns sets his sights on Braun Breaker for a massive showdown at Survivor Series. Braun Breaker and Roman Reigns, I would argue, is a bigger program than Bronson Reed and Roman Reigns. So I think that's the way you do it. Keep this simple. Don't overbook the finish. Have Roman Reigns set up for the spear, and you have Braun Breaker come out, spear Roman behind the referees. Well, actually, you don't need to, because it's a street fight. That means, oh, that's right. So you can have Bronson Reed have help legally. So Braun Breaker comes in, spears Roman Reigns. Tsunami, 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns loses. That's my prediction. John Cena takes on AJ Styles. Now, this match has a lot of nostalgic feel to it because of the history between these two, because of how great some of their previous matches were. So that's going to be a lot of this match. This match is not about winners or losers. There's nothing to be gained or lost by either one winning or losing. This is just about enjoying the 15 or more minutes with these two men competing for the last time. It's very rare that you have a wrestling match, especially a high-profile one, where winners and losers actually don't matter at all in any context for anything. It's very difficult to create a scenario like that, but they have one here. There's nothing to be gained or lost by either man winning or losing. There's not a case to be made. And you could say, well, AJ's going to stay, John Cena's going to be gone. Well, AJ's kind of in the position of Roman Reigns, where he's so over, it doesn't matter if he wins or loses. It's AJ Styles, for God's sakes. If you're going to make the case that AJ's going to lose some steam, if you want to put him in a prominent position by losing to John Cena, well, losing to John Cena isn't a bad thing for anyone. The fact that you're in the ring with John Cena competing is enough to kind of deodorize a loss that you take to him. So if you have AJ Styles in there losing to John Cena, okay. It's not going to hurt AJ Styles. We all know what this match is. It's not to position AJ Styles for a run. It's not to position John Cena for any kind of quick last-minute run with anything, of course. This is about just John Cena taking his last couple steps out the door. That's it. There's nothing more to hear. There's no weirdness. Now, you could have something crazy happen where John Cena's final opponent is revealed here, meaning after John Cena wins or loses, it doesn't matter again. It really doesn't matter. Perhaps his final opponent is revealed in a post-match attack. And you all know who I want that to be. Do we dare? Is it possible? Do the wrestling gods have anything in their bag of tricks to get Adam Copeland, Edge, to come back here? I'm not predicting that, but I'd put it in the world of possibility that Edge at the end of this comes out. But if Edge is his final opponent, maybe you wait until the next PLE before Saturday night's main event, which obviously would make a little more sense. So, how about that? So who do I think is going to win? Honestly, flip a damn coin. John Cena. Fine. John Cena. John Cena's going to win. It doesn't matter at all. And that's it. It's just going to be fun to see how well these two compete, to see the near falls, to have some last minute nostalgia enter our bones. That's all this is about. And I expect a very good match, not a 5-star match, but a very good match filled with just kind of feel-good moments and nostalgia. That's all this is. So take it for what it is. Okay, the Women's Crown Jewel Championship match. Tiffany Stratton versus Stephanie Vaquer, who loves her demonic tattoos. And I don't want to hear otherwise that it's not a demonic tattoo. People are saying, oh, it's astrology. Astrology is demonic. Okay. By its definition, I don't want to get into why. It just is. Okay, this is not the show for that. But even Stephanie Vaquer has her horns on her head, in a lot of the promo materials. Okay. She's being very outward with her kind of, I think, affinity for the darkness in a real way, not in a fake way, not in a storyline way, but in a actual, kind of scary, dark way. I think, it's in her wrestling character with the horns on her head, but then you put an actual massive tattoo on your back that's permanent forever, that is outwardly demonic. I mean, I don't want to hear that it's just her character. I think that's why her character is getting kind of over, is because she's just being herself. But nonetheless, I can't take away her wrestling skill. That has nothing to do with her ability in the ring, which is just, it's very high level. Tiffany Stratton as well. These two are in a parallel position, which makes this match really fun because both women are young. They're the next generation. They're preceding the Charlotte Flairs and the Becky Lynches. They're the next generation. They could be the faces of their next generation. They're already starting to be. They're both champions on their respective brands. They're in similar positions. I would argue Tiffany's a little bit more accomplished. She had a little bit more of a head start. Stephanie's catching up quickly. These two, while their promos have not been good, kind of catty, low level, the match in the ring, I think, is going to be, out of 5 stars, 3.5, maybe 4. I think they're going to have a very good match. How can they not? We've seen these two perform at a high level. Again, I said they're young, incredibly athletic. I think these women have the chance to be in the conversation for match of the night. Who do I think is going to win? Again, this Crown Jewel Championship is completely made up. It means nothing. It really means jack. You know what? It doesn't have any meaning. But who's going to win the match? Probably Tiffany Stratton. But you could argue that Stephanie needs it more because she's kind of a little bit, she's a step or two behind Tiffany in terms of her accomplishments. It'd be something that she's able to put on her resume for whatever the hell that's worth and have a hell of a match on a bigger stage with a co-champion and kick ass and win. I'd argue Stephanie needs it more, but that doesn't mean that WWE is going to give her the win because she needs it. It could just be who they want to continue to push higher. And Tiffany could certainly do that as well. This match doesn't really matter as much. I hate to say that about a lot of these matches that just don't matter because there's really either nothing on the line or there's, people retiring that the outcome doesn't have any real effect on anything. But that said, this is really a pay-per-view about PLE, about great matches, not so much about consequences. It's about just having great wrestling matches. If you look at it through that lens for this PLE, these made-up Crown Jewel Championships and these exhibition matches between John Cena and AJ Styles and the nothing on the line tag team match with Rhea and Io versus part of the Kabuki Warriors of Kairi and Asuka, really nothing's on the line. Really nothing. But if you look at it as, okay, cool, fine. There's no real championship on the line. There's no opportunity on the line in terms of a number one contendership. You could still look at it and be like, hey, this is a PLE about kick-ass matches and bringing you through the story and the drama and the near falls and all of that. That's, I think, where at the heart of this PLE is going to lie, and where it's going to be successful is having just awesome matches. So not so much the outcomes, because as I said, there's really nothing to be had here. So Tiffany probably wins. Okay. Now, the Men's Crown Jewel Championship. Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins for, again, an imaginary championship. This one actually is, I think it's a little more predictable than the others that are, a lot of them are toss-ups. This one seems to be a little more predictable and one that actually is a bit lopsided in terms of who really should win this. Because I look at this as, who has more to gain and who has more to lose, who needs it more. I look at it through those things. And who needs it more? By far, Seth Rollins. The 3-0 record that Cody holds against Seth Rollins in one-on-one competition looms large over Seth Rollins. It's something he needs to overcome. And Seth Rollins is in a hell of a position on Monday Night Raw. He's the spotlight of Monday Night Raw right now with The Vision and Paul Heyman and Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker helping build new stars to build the next generation. And he can't continue to lose to Cody Rhodes. If he loses to Cody, there's nothing to be gained for Cody for this. He already won last year, by the way, against Gunther. And by the way, Gunther, I don't think he's far away from coming back. I know he's been out of the conversation for a while. So he's a wild card to return here, possibly, and attack someone. It's possible Gunther does that. I'm not predicting it, but I want to put it in the back of your head that Gunther, I don't think, is far away from a return, much like Liv Morgan. So keep her also in the back of your mind. But to me, this is about Seth Rollins getting a victory. It's kind of weird to say that at this point in Seth's career, given all of his accomplishments, all the years he's been in the business, all of his big matches, big moments, championship runs with the Intercontinental Championship, the Tag Team Championship, the World, the Universal title, and so on. I think this is kind of an odd situation where I think Seth needs this victory because Cody Rhodes has been the guy since he returned at WrestleMania 38 to, ironically, face Seth Rollins. He lost there. He lost in all the subsequent matches. He needs this victory, not for the championship that is completely imaginary, but to slay the beast that is Cody Rhodes. He needs this. His group needs this. So I think that's what's going to happen here. Now, how does this happen? Well, the predictable outcome is, okay, you could have part of the Vision interfere. It could be Bronson Reed after his match. It could be Braun Breaker. It could be Paul Heyman could even have a say. It could be a heel turn from somebody. It could be, it could be a returning. Maybe Brock Lesnar decides, hey, I just want to attack somebody again for no reason because we never get an explanation of why Brock does anything. It could be that. Or it could be Seth Rollins straight up beats Cody Rhodes. I'd argue that's a better outcome, but they're very, very protective of Cody and his character. And when Cody wins, or rather loses clean, and when he doesn't, and more often than not, he doesn't lose clean. So I think you're going to have, the match quality is going to be top tier. We know that. These two are world-class athletes, world-class pro wrestlers, decades of experience between them. No concern whatsoever. It is likely, but not guaranteed to be match of the night, given these two talents and the probably 20-minute match that they're going to have. So it's going to be an awesome match. We know that. But Seth needs this victory. I would say out of every match on the card, there's nobody more that needs a victory than Seth Rollins. Nobody needs it more than Seth. Because of the record that they put in our face. Because of the fact that Cody already won this meaningless championship last year. So Seth needs this. His group needs this. You can't have Cody come in and beat Rollins to go 4-0. That does nothing for Cody and hurts Seth and his momentum. So I think I've made my case. Seth should win this and should win this. Do I dare say decisively? Do we dare have Cody Rhodes get pinned clean? Do we dare go there? I would. But Cody's not going to get hurt. I don't care how Cody loses. It could be a squash. They'll never do it. Cody's a made guy too. He should go run his stuff on SmackDown, be the undisputed champion on SmackDown. He's got his hands full over there. And Seth should take this victory, which he needs, and use it to propel forward his agenda on Monday Night Raw. So I think you have Bronson win. You have Seth win. You have Rhea win. Rhea and Io Sky win. You have Tiffany Stratton win. Okay. And did I cover every match here? Oh, and John Cena, again, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to say John Cena wins. So there you go. There is your Crown Jewel preview and prediction show. Join us at patreon.com/WWE podcast for everything ad-free, which also gets you a ad-free experience for every show we do for the next 7 days if you go and do the trial. But also you get a Discord server that you can go and chat with all the other patrons during the show. Kind of cool. So, alrighty, I'll be back on Sunday with your review show for your Crown Jewel PLE. And I think it's going to be eventful. But again, look at it through the lens of not much on the line, just great matches. So there you go. Thanks, everybody. We will talk soon. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.